Oh, hey, how are you? I wanted to let you know that I hacked my Amex bill for maximum savings after my breakup. If you're interested, stick around. This first chart you're seeing here is a cumulative spending breakdown over time since my breakup. So my breakup was a couple months ago, and the first thing I noticed when I logged into my Amex account after we broke up, after the next cycle, was my spending absolutely plummeted. Why, you may ask? I'm gonna break all that down in this video, as well as show you and tell you what I'm doing with this extra money every month, where it's going and why, and we're gonna go over some horror stories I found in some discussions of ways you may spiral in the other direction after a breakup. But first, let's go over the cumulative spending over time. This graph here was taken from my Amex spending. I uploaded it into a data visualizer, and I have all these graphs I'm gonna link down below so you too can see what you can go through and see what your spending could look like after a breakup. It could go up, it could go down. Mine went drastically down. Now, if you look here, on the y-axis, we have cumulative spending in dollar amounts, so 5, 10, 15,000. Now, cumulative spending over time from 9 of 22 all the way until 5 of 2024, I was spending a lot more money up here in 9/2022, September of 22 when we first started dating, and then it dipped a little bit, and then it went up a little bit more into the holidays, it dipped back down, and then it's interesting, as our relationship got further along, it's almost like I started to spend less money. Is there a correlation between people dating in the beginning and one person spending more money than the other? That's something I'd really be interested in. So if you do know or you have an opinion on it, comment down below and let me know. Are you spending more in the beginning of a relationship? Are you spending less? Is it equal? What does that look like? Take a look at mine. Mine's completely the opposite. My spending has went down, and we broke up around here, and my spending continues to go down. All I can say is my Amex bills have never been lower. Okay, next one is, I broke this down. I thought this was interesting. Heat map of spending by the day and the week, of the hour of the day. So it looks like I'm spending more money on Sundays, and this goes all the way back from the same data point from 22 up until a few months ago. It looks like on Mondays I'm not spending any money. On Thursdays I'm not spending much money, but Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays was a lot of money. What's that about? Let's jot that down. So Sunday, we've got a lot of money. That's I still don't understand that. Maybe we will as we dive deeper in. Now let's look at the monthly spending pattern. So I broke this down into two areas. So one is from 9 of 22, where we're spending more there, we're spending less there, more, less, more. But we see a drop here. We're spending quite a bit in the beginning, then we level off, then we're spending a little more, and it just kind of fluctuates. I think there's a couple reasons to that. One is we head into the holiday season, and then two, as your relationship and your finances start to become more stable, as you start to understand the way each person enjoys the love language that comes out of that, you'll start to see that maybe one person in a relationship enjoys nice things while the other one doesn't. Maybe another one has time, maybe it's experiences, maybe it is gifts, maybe it's a combination of all three. But this was an interesting chart because you can see each month where my spending was. And again, this is all from one of my Amexes that I used for all my personal purchases across the last 18 months. All right, next, this is just spending from then to present. I thought this was funny. It's only been maybe 2 months, so my spending hasn't exactly taken off like it was the last. This is a chart that shows what my spending looks like. Spending would be up here on the top, and then, spending would be down here on the bottom, and then payments, when I made payments, these are at the top. So in this case, I made a payment of almost $2,000. I made a payment of $2,400. I made a $1,500 payment, etc. But what you can notice here in these graphs is right at the beginning of the relationship, I don't even remember what this was, but there was a really big and this wasn't one purchase, this was that month, but almost $10,000 was spent that month of 10/28, and that was right at the beginning of our relationship. But this graph goes to show you what the previous plot graph showed you as well, that over time, the purchases seem to get smaller. Now, what I will say is, if you look all the way over here, and I'll zoom in on this graph, If you look all the way over here, these red lines, not the orange, but the red, these are after the breakup. So you'll see a little bit of spending here, but you don't see the red lines going down as far as you do over here, which again proves my point, as well as look at how high some of these payments were, $2,500, $2,000, $2,000. In the last couple of months, my biggest payments have been $1,500, $1,200, maybe $1,000. So it's not always a crazy amount of money that has to go out when you're done breaking up. You may not have to spend a lot, although you may, and we're going to go over some of those stories in just a little bit. All right, so I did a calculation of what the top categories are. So there's going to be a couple. We're going to look at flights, restaurants, excursions, experiences, whatever. I've got the dates. So my top flight expenses, where I ended up paying for tickets for myself and my significant other, we've got 516, 609, 627, 919, and 12.5. And you look at the amount over here, and you look, these are all airlines, but if you look at this, that's quite a bit of money over the last, that was within a 9-month span. So 12.5 of 2002 up until 919, the 2000, 3000, that was almost $3,400. Well, if you think about that, if I was flying for two and it's $3,400, I cut that in half. I'm at about $1,700. So that's $1,700 spent on flights that I normally wouldn't have. Also, let's look at lodging. So if I look at lodging here, we can look at the date. I'll go back and say from 9/25 of 23 all the way through 3/11. There were some others that were on a different credit card, but I try to put everything on one Amex. It helps me keep everything categorized and I earn points, etc. But you can also see the amount that was spent on, whether it was hotels, spa. These are all different hotels and experiences over the last, 12 months or so. And finally, the restaurants. This one kind of blew me away. And again, these are just the top restaurants that I'm going through. These are not all the restaurants. So you think the smaller ones do add up, but all these restaurants here that you see, these were all restaurants that I went through with my significant other. So if you're looking and saying, well, if I spent $276 here, maybe if I went by myself, it would be half. Maybe I wouldn't be going at all to a restaurant like that on my own. It's a fair question to ask, and it's one that we should probably continue to examine. These numbers did somewhat blow me away. Okay, now we're done looking at mine. Let's look at I found some Reddit posts. I like to dig into Reddit occasionally. If you're not following me on Reddit, please do. I'll put the link down below. Reddit's a treasure trove when it comes to figuring out how people look at expenses and how they deal with finances. And one thing when I was prepping for this video and going through this was, I was shocked at the amount of people that post-breakup went out and spent a ton of money instead of trying to save a ton of money. Or maybe they weren't in my case where I was paying and happy to do it, a brunt of the financial burden while her and I were together. And now that we're not, that money opens up. Maybe other people are more on a 50-50 or a 70-30. But if you look here, I'll put this in the description below, but this one, this person talks about, my no contact ex still has my checking account linked to his Amex and use it to pay his balance. I mean, that's a problem. But I thought this one was really interesting. So spending lots of money after a breakup. Has anyone done this? Just made quite a lot of purchases on clothes, don't really need a home pod, different things. And somebody commented down here, it was the #1 upvoted comment. I did that. I'm a frugal person, but after the breakup, I wanted to buy what I want, eat what I want. The small doses of excitement are trigger endorphins in your brain, and it makes you feel good. So when you buy something, that initial purchase gives you a jolt of adrenaline, it gives you an endorphin rush, and it can make it seem like love. And trust me, when you're feeling down, the last thing you're worried about is your finances. However, I would encourage you to immediately start looking at your finances if you think there's a breakup coming, if you know there's one coming, if you're in the middle of one. I understand it's not the most, it's not something you want to do, scrubbing credit card statements and seeing what's connected, but let's talk about what to do next. So you went through a breakup and you're looking at your finances. What do? So if you're somebody like me, what am I doing? I'm taking the XX money and everyone who's watched this channel, if you're a member here, you've subscribed here for a long time, you're going to know what I'm going to tell you. I'm dollar cost averaging into more ETFs and to more stocks that I own. So what did I do? I got into one of my accounts in Wealthfront. I upped the automatic contribution almost by the amount that I'm saving every month. All that money's going into ETFs or it's going into a high yield savings account. I have spent a little bit of money on things for the studio. So if you'll notice, I've got a new mic, which I've wanted for a long time. I purchased that. I purchased a DCA converter over there. I've got some new lights that are in front of me that you can't see, and I may even upgrade my camera. But those are things that are good for the studio, that are good for the brand. I have not went out and started splurging on toys and things like that. Why? Well, because an unexpected outcome of this breakup was the fact that my Amex bill dropped, and that's a win for me. Yes, there are still emotional days for me, but what I'll say is if you're in a situation like this, try to look at what you do have, and it doesn't always have to be a situation where you're going to spend more money. You don't have to get to a point where you're spending more money post-breakup. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that way, and there's data all over the place that I've shown you today that you can go back and you can see your spending. If you go into Amex or Visa or Discover, and you can pull down statements and see what you've spent. And if you're like me and you're a data nerd and you look at data 24/7, my spending will continue to go down and down and down and down. Now, I'm a very frugal person by nature. I'm not going to let myself get destitute, but for the amount of money that I was spending, I'm not going to be spending that for a while until I get into another relationship. And I will say this too, as far as what's going to happen next and what I would suggest others in this situation do. Take a look at these statements, graph them out if you want to, use ChatGPT to do it, and understand where your money's going, because what gets measured gets improved. And maybe in your next relationship, you may not want your finances to look the same way they do in your current or your previous one. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I'm going to take these graphs, I'll probably print them out and put them on my desk and make sure I understand where my money's going, how it's working for me, where I get the best bang for my buck, and just understand that there's more to it than just nickels and dimes and zeros and ones. Love is a very complicated thing, but I also want people to understand that you can also be in love and have your finances in order. So what are some practical steps to maintain your lower spending now that you're out of a relationship and on your own? So make sure for me, mine was, as you saw, big spenders were restaurants, dining. I'm cooking at home more. I think it's fresher. I think it's easier. I'm budgeting a little tighter than I was before. When we would go out, it was generally me putting down the Amex, and I wasn't looking too much. And again, I was fine with that. That's okay. And then the mindful spending. So thinking twice before making big purchases and prioritizing needs over wants. One easy way to do that is if you're on Amazon and you're looking at something, and I tell people this all the time, put the items that you really want in your cart and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. Come back to it. 9 times out of 10, you will not care and you will not need that item. You can hit delete or remove and you're done. So in conclusion, breakups are tough, but they can be a turning point for positive change. That's what I'm all about today, positive change. By understanding your spending habits and making smarter financial choices, I've turned a very difficult situation into a chance to improve my financial health. I hope my story today has inspired you to take a closer look at your own finances and find ways to save. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to design your financial freedom even after a breakup. Take care. Bye-bye.